Hi, and welcome to another episode of Know Before You Buy the Things We Love and Hate. I'm here with Thomas today. And Thomas, if you could give us the too long did not read
Oh,
who you are.
okay. I am Thomas Lee McKeithan II. I am a resident of the state of Maryland, and I work for Wells Fargo. I'm a technical business manager.
Excellent,
Yes, ma'am.
excellent. And you're visually impaired,
I am
correct?
totally blind. Yes,
You're
ma'am.
totally blind.
Yes.
Okay, and so am I. So you
Oh,
are here, and we're in equal grounds here.
there we go.
Why are we messing with film?
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your home and what your home life is like. Don't tell us anything personal.
Okay.
Just let's give people like the picture of the home that we're going to talk about
Okay.
today.
My home is a single family, four bedroom home with, let's see, kitchen, family room, dining room, office, four bedrooms, basement.
The ideal American home.
The ideal American
American home.
home.
Yeah.
Yep.
And any kids, any
I have
wife, so forth.
two girls, and my wife. Yes,
Excellent. And are any of them visually impaired as well, or just you?
just me.
So no kids
No, I
and
have two
or
girls,
two kids, yeah,
two
two
girls,
girls
and
and
a
a
wife.
wife,
Yeah,
and none of them are visually impaired.
none
Sorry,
of them
that's
are
what I was
visually
getting at.
impaired.
So, like every other blind person, we have, families or we don't have families.
Yeah.
But when we do have families, we have shared responsibilities in the household. Can you talk about some of the things that are kind of your responsibility in your household?
I have all the responsibility for the maintenance. I have to. I'm responsible. I don't cut the grass, but I'm responsible for making sure the grass gets cut, making sure there are no bugs. I have to make sure that the dishes are out of the dishwasher when I'm asked to put the dishes away. Um, you know, open the laundry, wash the clothes, dry
Okay,
the clothes. Yeah.
excellent. Yeah.
Um, watch whatever programming I want. Yep. Security systems. Yep. I'm
So,
responsible for those things.
so you're the technologist in the
I'm the
household,
technologist in
and
the
gee,
house.
you're a technologist in your
I
job. I
am.
mean, that's
I am.
that again. You're perfectly normal human being doing
Yes.
technological things at home.
Yes, ma'am.
So you talked about a dishwasher so far. Now you specifically said your job is to take the dishes out of the
And I have to
dishwasher,
wash them as well.
and you have to wash them as well. Do you
Absolutely.
load the
I do
dishwasher?
have to load them, and I have to take them out.
And how is that process of starting your dishwasher for you?
Well, unfortunately or unfortunately, when we bought this property, the dishwasher was already in place. So it has, amazingly, it has raised buttons on the panel, and I can
Excellent.
tell, they're not tactile labeled, but they are raised buttons, so I know where start is. I know where um, heavy cycle, where normal cycle is. So I kind of know where those things are.
Is that pure memory?
It's pure memory. It's pure memory.
So, if you haven't done the dishes, you're tired, it's been a long day, you got to think.
Yeah, I got to think about it.
Like most people really have problems thinking
That's
when they're
right.
that tired.
That's right.
And, the average person could look at the thing and say, okay, I just put in heavy duty
Right.
and you have to think about it and you have to memorize it.
Yes.
Any braille labeling that you use?
No, we don't. I don't use any. I don't use any braille labeling. I do it. I do it all from memory. And I guess it's because I try to. I shouldn't say this, but I try to be very independent and
And, and
non
why?
accessible. I don't know. It's
Why
just
shouldn't you say that? Why?
why shouldn't I
What's
say
wrong
that?
with that? Yeah.
Nothing's wrong.
Nothing's
Nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with that.
that.
Nothing at all.
We don't have to be the uber blind
There you go.
person
There you
all
go.
the time.
There you go.
And this is a really important factor. I mean, being that uber blind person is really hard.
Yeah.
We don't, I know lots of these uber blind people that label things left,
Yeah.
right, and center.
Right.
And, they look at my house and they come and they say, you don't have enough braille labels. How do you get stuff done? It's like,
I don't want. I
not
didn't.
to,
I don't think I wanted it, Lucy. To be totally honest with you, I wanted
yeah.
it to be. I have two girls who are sighted, and my wife is sighted, and I just wanted it to
You
be
want to fit.
a fit. Yeah, there
You
you go.
want
I
to
wanted
fit,
it to
man.
fit.
You want to fit. That's
Yeah.
perfectly normal.
I think the only place that I really have some sort of tactile experience, other than the dishwasher, is we have a microwave. and my
Okay.
wife has labeled the not with braille, but with the raised dots
Yep. Yep.
for the microwave. That's the only other place where I think that we've made it easier for me. The washing machine and the dryer. We just got new ones, and
Okay.
fortunately or unfortunately, I did not buy them to be an accessible product. I honestly am, and I'm in this space. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking to keep the wife happy about which machine she wanted. So, what we found out is that on the flat panel display, there are basically two buttons. One at the top right and one at the and bottom left. So top right says, get it out of idle, and bottom left says start or stop. So
Okay.
I've just kind of memorized that sort of thing. What we have done is with my televisions, and my televisions in the home because I just like watching CNN and CNBC and those sort
You
of
mean
things.
you're human?
I'm human,
God
absolutely.
damn, that's
So we when we bought, well, the first thing we did was we Verizon has Voice One or the set top boxes that you can speak to and kind of find the channel.
Yep.
So that's the first thing that my wife, when it came out, she said, "Oh, I'm going to get this for you to make it easier for you." So totally cool. I love the experience. So then when we decided that we were going to replace the televisions, we went with. Can I say the name of the TV
No,
brand?
no,
Or
you should say the
I
name.
should.
You
We
should.
went with a Samsung. We went with Samsung products for
Okay.
one, two, three. We have one, two, three, four TVs, five TVs. We went with Samsung for every time we replaced the television, we just went with a Samsung product.
Okay.
Because it has the accessible speech output with that particular product that I can adjust, and I can do the settings, and I can do all the programming. I can do those things
Turn
independently.
on your own audio
Turn on my own audio.
description.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. So
Okay.
I've done that. But you know what? It's funny we talking about audio description. I don't use audio description to watch television.
Well, you don't have
I
to.
don't want to. I wanted to feel,
Yeah.
I wanted it to feel quote unquote normal.
Yep.
My daughters might think it's cool, but I've turned it on
Well,
before,
and,
and it drives me nuts.
and that's
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 okay.
your choice.
That's my choice.
That's
Yeah.
your choice.
My choice.
I'm all about choice. I'm all about, we do things the way we need to do it.
Agreed.
And if, things were made better for us, we could do that much more frequently.
Yep.
So you're probably missing a lot of features on that washing machine, right? Like,
Yes.
can you choose the delicate cycle? Can you choose?
I haven't tried it.
Well, it's a good thing. What brand is it? What brand is
GE.
the GE? Well, I'd be curious to see, if you could figure out ways to make that GE accessible. I'll bring you back onto the show. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. It's, we all have different things and different priorities in our life.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's perfectly fine for you to have the priorities that, you don't want your family to, think, look, dad's doing things differently than us. You want to bring them up, normal kids,
Yeah.
able-bodied kids,
Right.
and,
My girls actually think that dad can see. My daughter, who's 12, often tells me we were just talking about this about asking her her friends ask her at school, your dad is blind. Well, so how does your dad do this? She's like, that's just my dad. That's just my dad. He does anything. So she was funny we were talking about this, but she was telling her friends that my dad has a tandem bike. My dad has a tandem bike, and they asked her. They said, "Do you ride it?" And she said, "No, I don't ride it with him. It just sits there for show." I said, Layla, you shouldn't say stuff like that. And then my oldest daughter, who's in college, she treats me normal. Just like she'll walk in my office at home and she's like, "Oh, Dad, here's my schedule for school. Come on, let's look at it together." So we try to build a normal life.
and that's
It works.
important.
It's totally cool.
That's important. There are blind parents who are of able-bodied kids that want to do it differently, and
Yeah.
there are blind parents like you who don't. And individuality is really key and
You're
really
absolutely
important in our world.
You're absolutely right.
So, is there anything in your house that you hate, like an appliance that you just hate?
The refrigerator.
The refrigerator. Me
I wish
too.
it was more. I wish it was more accessible so I could adjust the temperature.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only thing that I don't like, because everything else, the security system, the
What security system do you
I'm with
use?
Guardian, so
Good.
we're with Guardian, but I didn't go with they wanted me to change it out to a flat panel, and I said I can't use this because the panel itself is not accessible. They said, well, you have the mobile app. I said, well, I don't always want to be reliant on using a mobile app to arm and
Let me
disarm my
tell you a
system.
story about
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I got a
okay.
story about that.
Yeah.
So a couple of months ago, I got up early in the morning and I needed to go let the dog out. And I grabbed my phone to turn the security system off. And I couldn't. The
Wow.
app could not reach the security system.
Oh.
And they didn't give us a choice. We had no choice whatsoever. The panel I had that had buttons was discontinued because it had the old,
Yeah.
LTE, not even LTE, it had the old TD, whatever,
TD, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
cellular system to contact them. And it was being discontinued. So we had to change. And I had the stupid flat panel one that there's no way I can use it at all.
Wow.
And the app wouldn't communicate with the panel. And luckily, my husband was home and was able to go over to the panel and touch the panel. But otherwise, the only way I would have been able to turn that damn thing off is by setting it off.
Yeah.
And that's happened to us twice now.
Wow.
And, a couple of weeks ago, we actually got home and the panel was black. And my husband couldn't see it either. And the alarms, the app couldn't find it. And they did call the police. It was a bad scene.
Wow.
So these flat panels, they're in the end, they can fail us.
I'm glad I have not changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at several different systems right now, which is why I was like, ooh, tell me what security system you
well,
use.
they wanted us to
And-
when we do the upgrade, they wanted me to change, but I said, as long as this thing will hang on in there with me, I will keep it.
And that's really a problem.
It is.
That you're being pressured to change to something you can't use
That's right.
is quite problematic for me.
Yep.
All right, we're getting close to the time that we want to finish this up now.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had one thing you wanted to tell appliance manufacturers, what would it be? This is your stage.
If I had to talk to appliance managers, folks, I would say, make your product usable by all folks, regardless of ability. Ensure that the product can be used by all, whether they have a disability or not. So include, voiceover or some sort of speech output. Include the raised buttons. Just make it able to be used by all people of all abilities, and I think that will make everyone's world and experience more enjoyable.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
You're quite welcome.
And I really appreciate you coming today.
Thank
you. Thank you. Thank you for watching today's episode of Know Before You Buy the Things We Love and Hate. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to subscribe, click like, and leave me any comments. And join me next time for another episode.